Hey guys, I'm going to be reviewing my Northrock Xc27. I've had about a year. I did a review about a few months ago, and I thought I'd do another one since that one had a huge watermark. Here's the bike. This is the Northrock Xc27 frame. I've had it for a year and I've had no problems with it. This is actually a brand of Giant and I got this from Costco. It has a quick release axle, a straight head tube, and a threaded bottom bracket, and a 30.9 C2 diameter. I would say the frame size is more of a medium than anything else. I usually ride a large frame since I'm 5'11", but I've had no problems with this frame. I just had to run a pretty high seat post. Okay, to start out the cockpit, this is the Brand X 31.8 handlebar. I don't know the exact width. I think it's around 735. And then this is the stem that came with it. It's a pretty long stem, but since I'm a little bit too big for this bike, the longer stem definitely helps out. It makes it feel really good. I first purchased the wake bar and stem. The wake bar, I was a little skeptical because I've heard a lot of bad stuff like it cracking. But the stem, I've had no issues. I actually returned the wake bar after seeing those reviews because I didn't want to risk it. And this was like around $18. And the wake wasn't that much cheaper, so you might as well just spend money on something you know that'll last longer. So this bike comes with a non-sealed headset. So far I've had no problems with it. I actually took it out and re-greased it when I put on this new fork. So I honestly would recommend getting a sealed headset if you go mountain biking a lot. But this is mostly my street bike that I can ride around on the street and just jib with. I'm running the Magura MT2 brakes front and rear, and I have the 190mm front rotor and 160 rear. They're just generic rotors, and the Magura MT2s are crazy stopping power. They're way better than my 2-piston SLX. Like, the stopping power is super, what would you call it? There's not much modulation, it's just straight up power. And I like that feeling for road riding and trials. I definitely recommend them, but you also might want to consider that these top caps right here, they start to crack. These grips are 50-50, obviously in the blue color. They're kind of like ergons. My hands sometimes get super numb after riding, but I recommend the ODI Rogues, I think that's what they're called. They're on my full suspension, and it took away my hand pain. This is the WTB Speed saddle. Most of these parts that I have on this bike are from my old bike that cracked. This is the reverb dropper post. Not the most reliable thing. It's actually not working right now. See, nothing. I've had nothing but problems with this reverb. The fork on this bike is a RockShox Relevation SL. It has 135mm of travel, and this bike comes with 80mm. It raised the bottom bracket and steepened the head angle, which I didn't think was a really big deal, and it works fine with me. It still comes with the quick release axle, and if you're looking to get this bike, you should definitely upgrade to air. It's a big difference, and it really changed how this bike rides. The wheels on this bike are the Easton Arc 27 with the DT Swiss 350 hub. So the rear is actually a 28 spoke, and then the front is a 32. I know it's supposed to be the opposite, but I just had this one lying around that I got like off of Chain Reaction Cycles for a super good deal. I have the 54 2-star ratchet. I just put it on. This used to be on my mountain bike, like my full suspension, but these spokes kept detensioning, so I just put it on here. So I have the Sunringo Inferno 27 32 spoke front wheel. This is a 15 by 100 through axle front wheel, but there's actually conversion kits that you can get that made it fit to this quick release, and that's the same for this. This is a 12 by 142, and I shaved the end caps and put in a QR adapter, and I've had really no bad luck with it. The tires on this bike are the Maxxis Icon. They're 27.5 by 2.1, and I have the WTB Vigilante 2.3 by 27.5. The cranks on this bike are the Voluta. I forgot the name of the kind of it. It is, but there's this version and then a pro version, but this, it's like 30 bucks, and it fits on a square taper bottom bracket, and it's 104 BCD. So what more could you ask for 30 bucks? And I've been running this setup for maybe a month, and I've just been beating on them. I've actually started to rub off the lettering, and on the other side I totally took it off. These are 175 millimeters in length. I have the Snail 34 tooth chainring. That's off Amazon. It's pretty cheap, probably 10, 11 bucks. And I have 11-speed chain, the C Guide. This definitely helps. I actually watched Seth's Bike Hacks video like a few years ago, and this is the 7-speed cassette, and then a downhill SRAM X7 9-speed derailleur. And if you notice, I have no cables on this bike for shifting. So I actually broke the shifter, and I figured out a getaway to make it single speed. So how I went single speed was I put a shifter cable with the head inside the derailleur, and it's going to block it, and then it's going to put tension on this cable, and then you can move the derailleur around which gear you want. And I actually picked a really good gear because I can climb uphill. I have the Cat Eye Velo 9. This is pretty much just a speedometer, and it tracks how many miles you went, and you just put it on the front wheel. It's a magnet. Where is it? Right here. And then this is the tracker that counts how many times this magnet spins around in one full revolution. And then you just type in your wheel size, and then it just tracks how many miles you can go. Now that we got specs out the way, we can talk about the riding characteristics of this bike.
The Xc27 is one of the most fun bikes I've ridden. Since there are no real geo charts, I've been going off of feel. The short rear triangle makes the bike manual super easy and almost feels like a BMX bike. The wheelbase feels short, but not short enough for the front wheel to rub on your foot. If you're looking for an easy to ride mountain bike that is very durable, this is your answer. For high speed mountain biking, this bike might feel a little squirmy, but that's the trade-off for a fun bike. The aluminum hardtails are known to be harsh, but I found that this frame is very compliant. The first time I rode this bike, I noticed how unharsh the frame was compared to my friend's REI Co-op bike. This is a good feature because the frame won't beat you up on rocky stuff, but is also bad because the frame will give you the illusion it'll break. But after the first few rides, you realize that this bike can take a beating.
Enough talking, let's ride this bike and see how capable it really is. Whoop.
Trying to find niggas to rob, trying to finish the job, finish the job. Ain't trying to find niggas to rob, ain't trying to find niggas to rob, trying to finish the job, finish the job. Beat balls, up behind balls, beat balls, up behind balls, beat balls, me.